Can you hear that, ladies and gentlemen? I hear some clanking in the distance, which means the first wave of the Separatist onslaught is on its way to Galaxy of Heroes. Tomorrow, February 14th, 2019, the B1 Battle Droid will finally be able to be unlocked. I'm going to make a lot of videos, hopefully, on this guy before the Grievous Rework, after the Grievous Rework, what its possibilities are. However, General Grievous, there's so much up in the air that people don't know about. We have little information, and you know me, I'm always scrounging, looking around to get you guys as much information as possible so you guys can make some educated decisions. So the other day, I was on the train listening to one of my favorite podcasts, the Galactic War Report. They did a developer interview, and it didn't really catch on. No one really heard about it, and there was a lot of important information in there that started teasing what General Grievous's kit is going to be about and how he's supposed to react with other droids on his team. Now, if you want to listen to the full podcast, I'll leave a link down below in the video description. This one is really good because they had developers on kind of explaining the B1 Battle Droid and all the other stuff we know so far, and they kind of hinted about General Grievous. So go check them out if you're always looking for some more Galaxy of Heroes stuff to listen to. But however, podcasts aren't usually the best way to disseminate really important information, and with us kind of being in the dark about General Grievous and his future impact on the game, I want to go and quickly summarize the 3 big things about General Grievous that was discussed in this podcast by one of the developers. And the first one that we got to talk about is how does this Grievous interact with the B1 Battle Droid as well as other Separatist droids that are going to be on the team. Let's roll the quick clip so you can hear what they said.
So I know we don't have the full kit, or at least not finalized, for General Grievous and the Droideka. We know they're coming, but we don't have the full stats on them. Is the droid battalion going to be interacted with on any other level, though, kind of at a high level? Like, is Grievous going to be able to affect that in any way or interact with it, or is it just the B1 does their thing?
The B1s are nearly independent thinking droids, and they're going to do their thing. But General Grievous does what he wants to do with his droid army, and he's going to take advantage of those numbers. I don't know how much you know about Grievous's stat line, but if you think about B1 Barrage and recovering percent based off of the leader's max health and protection, Grievous is pretty useful there.
Now, I suspected that Grievous's health pool was going to be super important for the rework. If you guys recall, when I did the B1 kit reveal, I spent 2 minutes talking about the implications of the B1 Battle Droid and General Grievous, because General Grievous, before all mods and all that is considered, he has the 3rd highest base health in the game. However, once you include what is currently his unique ability, and once you add mods on top of him, he quickly becomes the highest health character in the game. So first of all, we learned from the developers, we got confirmation on what I speculated before, that the B1 Battle Droid and General Grievous are going to be really important because the B1 Battle Droid is going to constantly give health to the team based off Grievous's max health, because we should be letting him be the leader. Now, beyond just that whole point I speculated about, that we finally got confirmation by the developers that the health regeneration with Grievous is going to be very, very important. We're also learning, how does the B1 interact with this team that we're going to see soon? Now, obviously, we didn't get too much information from that little tidbit you heard right there. However, we're hearing how General Grievous is going to use his droid army to his advantage. This is his sandbox. This is his toy box of droids. He can control in front of you, throw things in your way, just kind of mess your team up. So obviously there's this bigger picture out there that the B1 Battle Droid and Grievous are going to have with one another, because the B1 Battle Droid, if you guys recall, the whole kit design was to make you feel like you have this giant droid army behind you. So as they said, Grievous is going to take advantage of those numbers. We don't quite know just yet what he means by that. I have a few thoughts about what they might be getting at there. So as you know, we have that droid battalion status that's on top of the B1 Battle Droid, which signifies how large is your droid army. And Grievous wants to take advantage of that. Well, how would a general take advantage of numbers? Well, one way would be to increase their damage output or throw the numbers, overwhelm you. As you know, there's some wars that played out in real life where, although the military might not be as sophisticated as another, just the sheer overwhelming numbers can really put some pressure on your team. Who knows, it could be extra damage, or it could be forced taunts, it could be penalizing you for each droid you're taking out. Grievous potentially could become stronger and stronger and stronger, or we don't quite know, maybe the larger the droid battalion gets, you know, the stacks of droid battalion, they're virtually endless. They can go to infinity if possible, if time allows. So maybe Grievous gets more powerful depending on how powerful, how large that stack of droid battalion gets. And now they start getting into the really, really juicy information about his kit. And I think right here, what we're going to hear in a moment, I think they're describing what's going to be one of his new unique abilities. Let's go ahead, roll the clip, hear what they say, and proceed on from there.
Grievous is going to, I hope, surpass expectations. One thing that I cannot hold back from talking about, because I'm so excited about it, is that he will deal damage based off of his max health.
That's awesome.
Okay.
let it process.
I know.
And there we go. We're finally getting juicy details about General Grievous that I think is going to put some Revan owners on their toes potentially. Just from that little bit they kind of just loosened up and said right there, there's a lot that we can kind of pull out and how that's going to affect the game, I think. So again, kind of like as I predicted, if they were going to rework General Grievous, they're going to take advantage of his large health pool that he has, which is technically the largest health pool after unique abilities and mods are included. So the larger his max health is, the more damage he is putting out. So as we see, large health pool right here, and with this tactical retreat unique ability, we don't quite know if they're going to kind of fudge these numbers around. Right now, Grievous is getting plus 10% max health for each living droid ally. And this is kind of opening my mind a bit. We can either increase this max health. Who knows? They might put this at 20% max health, 50% max health. We already see some crazy stuff in the game. 150% max protection for Bastila and Jedi. Furthermore, would each stack of droid battalion equal a living droid ally? The larger his droid army, the more max health this guy has. That right there could spell a lot of trouble. Now, General Grievous, although his damage output's not the craziest, once he has critical damage mods and all that on him, he can sometimes put out some big damage, 20,000 on the basic and whatnot. But if we're starting to include what these developers are saying, that his unique ability, which I'm presuming, is going to supercharge his damage output, that right there could be what he's supposed to be. A Jedi killer, a fierce warrior who puts out big damage. He might finally be the true attacker we've been waiting for. And there's kind of a second point that we have to talk about. It makes sense that the bigger his droid army, the more max health he has, and the more powerful and the more ferocious he is. However, there's kind of an inverse there that I'm going to kind of predict here. I'm kind of pulling things a bit, maybe stretching the line a bit right now. However, perhaps the weaker his droid army gets, the weaker Grievous kind of starts becoming. If you guys recall in the Clone Wars TV series, as well as the episode 3, when it looks like the battle's not going in Grievous's favor, he's quickly kind of in retreat mode. He's kind of running, throwing the rest of his droids in your way, and he might be the last character you take out, kind of when we imagine it's throwing droids in your way, and he might not be as strong, he might not be putting as many punches out there because he's trying to escape the battle so he can kind of put together another army and go for his next attack. So there might be an inverse this where although he gets more powerful with the more droids and the higher the max health, as droids are being knocked off, his max health is slowly decreasing, making him a little bit weaker and starting to put him in more of a defensive mode and throwing stuff at your way. Kind of thinking more into that, but you guys might see where I'm getting at here. And every time a Jedi is using a basic up against, let's say, Nest or Traya because they have bonus protection, they're gonna lose 10% health each and every hit, which is why we see Revan counter Darth Traya so easily most of the time. However, with Grievous, they might work around that. They might make something that really just kind of makes that whole thing obsolete. He might not have bonus protection. He might have some new buff called bonus health for all we know, and maybe he'll keep increasing his max health based on the number of Jedi on the other side of the field. So right here, we see that Revan doesn't really counter health unless there's bonus protection. So the developers might make it purposely designed so that Grievous and the others don't get bonus protection, so they're not losing any sort of max health. It seems like this could spell a little bit of trouble for Revan. However, we still need to figure out what the other 4 or 5 abilities are. So that was just a sliver of Grievous information that we're getting. And the last important information, we didn't get too much out of this. They weren't able to get too much out of the developers during this interview, but the question came up as to whether more droids will roll off the Separatist factory line. Let's roll the clip and come right back.
So there are other Separatist droids out there in the lore. What are the odds we might see? Was it the assassin droid? What was that cool one?
Commando droid.
Commando droid. There's the rocket droid we have in game already. Huh?
I mean, I don't know what's going to come off the Confederation assembly line next.
So I'd say for now, what we wanted to do was make sure you could go into battle with Grievous and his guard and a battalion of B1s and a super battle droid and of course a droideka. So we wanted to make sure you could fill the front line with all of the most popular Separatist droids.
So as the interviewers correctly pointed out, there are so many Separatist droids that could come into the game. You have commando droids, you have those assassin droids, you have other droids like the B2 rocket troopers that we see in the AAT raids. So there's a lot of possibilities, and the developers didn't go into a lot of detail, but they basically just said that, there's a possibility there will be more droids down the line that could come come off the factory line. So that's something to keep in mind. This looks like to be a faction that can easily build up into the future. Kind of like Imperial Troopers, there's a large Imperial Trooper army, and once in a while they'll add an Imperial Trooper that makes the faction a little bit better. So in terms of future outlook on this faction, I'd say they might be kind of in line with like Imperial Troopers, where there's definitely a possibility something can roll off the assembly line and make this team even better. So will this guy be the Jedi killer? So far, with these few bits of information, it's looking good so far, I think, and we still have a lot more to learn about this character. He officially comes out with his rework and the Magna Guard rework next week on the 20th, so we're getting close, and I suspect maybe a couple days before we'll finally get a kit reveal to share with you guys and see if this guy will become meta, and I think he's got a lot of potential based on what we've seen so far and what we're kind of seeing into the future. Thank you guys so much for watching. That is it for today. Let me know down below on your thoughts. Is there other stuff we can maybe take out of these little bits of information the developers shared on the podcast? Would love to hear your thoughts. Like the video if you did enjoy it. Comment down below. Let's talk about it, and be sure to subscribe so you're not missing a thing. It's going to be a fun month, guys. And until the next video. Rework, Grievous, rework, Grievous. CG, get your act together and rework, Grievous, rework, Grievous, rework, Grievous. Come on, CG, don't make me pray.